Ready? Okay, I'd like to call the meeting to order at 5:59. Dr. Stevens, would you like to do attendance?
Absolutely. Mrs. Whitten?
Here.
Mr. White? Here. Ms. Soroka is absent. Ms. Donnelly?
Here.
And Mr. Kyle. Mr. Daniels. Mr. Kyle.
Mr.
Kyle. And student rep Owen Zawodowski. Almost. Zava.
Could we all stand for the pledge of allegiance, please? I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay.
What's that?
Well, I guess we're going to start with you. Would you like to give us the student council report?
I would love to. Good evening, everyone. I'm a 12th grade student here at Waterloo High School. I would like to thank Dr. Stevens and the Board of Education for this opportunity to serve as one of the student council representatives of this school. Student council members met last Thursday with Mr. Whited and Mr. Mento regarding the breakfast and lunch programs. Members were able to sample a soup as well as some panini sandwiches, which will be making their way onto menus. Mr. Whited and Mr. Mento also discussed with us about how regulations at the federal and state levels impact what we can and cannot eat here at school. We thank both of them for providing meeting times to hear what we think about food service and look forward to our next meeting after the new year. Picture retake day was Friday, November 1st. The pictures and IDs from the retake should arrive to school soon. We are excited to start. We are very excited for the start of our debate team at our recent student council meeting. We talked about the need to come up with topics that will be interesting and that will generate discussion. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Bernadette, do we have any public comment? We do not. And do we have any public comment from the floor? Apparently we do not. Okay, Ms. Webster, would you like to give your, excuse me, thank you, your report on the 23-24 New York State testing data?
I would love to, but unfortunately I cannot. We had every intention tonight. We did the PowerPoint and everything from the release of the data in August, but it is still embargoed until Thursday. So we're not allowed to discuss it in public yet. But as soon as it is, we have the ability to release it, we will release it to you. And then I will review it, if that's okay, next month when it is unembargoed. But at this time, we can only use the data that we've received in purposes of planning and preparation for the school year in curriculum. But that being said, I did still want to go over the last 3 slides of the PowerPoint that was created because I want to talk about what we're doing. You might not actually have it, guys. Spur of the moment change. I want to talk about what we've been doing. Oh, you do? Wonderful. Isn't that great? Thank you. What we've been doing with the data that we have and the correlation we have to the DSIP and the SIP. Remember, we are a targeted district in school, specifically the junior high school. So this year we started off strong with a focus in professional development on using data to drive our instruction. Of course, that should always be at the forefront, but we've really engaged in a text that was recommended to us called Driven by Data 2.0. And it is a proven framework that essentially, breaks apart your data, whether it be beginning of the year benchmarks or daily entrance and exit tickets. And given the results of those, that is how we frame our work either for that day or the next day or moving forward, rather than just what seems to be the norm, going through our curriculum and making sure that we're hitting the standards in a timely fashion. Now we're trying to go a little slower and making sure that everybody's hitting mastery prior to moving on, with the hopes that it will build that foundation and then we can move at a little quicker speed. So we have also been continuing to work on our curriculum maps. Within our curriculum maps, we're trying to embed more summative, informative assessments, and we're adding higher level questioning. Something that we had found when we were doing our data walks was we're not using the same verbiage in the state exams, either the 3-8 or the New York State Regents exams, in our daily lessons. And we want to make sure that we're embedding the same kind of language so that our students aren't surprised when they go and they sit for them in the spring, or if you're taking winter Regents in January. So that has been a deep dive as well. Some of the new resources that we put into, into effect actually today. Kirsten and I did the onboarding for a new MTSS program called EduClimber. And right now we have a lot of different spreadsheets going on, and a lot of people are in charge of a variety of different models and paperwork and data sets. And this program allows us to embed it all, or house it rather, all in one program, and then everybody has a wide lens of what's going on. So we did the onboarding today, and we hope to roll that out with the district in the next month or so. But here we'll really be able to zone in on student needs from a holistic lens that includes mental health, social emotional, as well as academic health. And then we can create plans for children based on that. We've also have added Second Step, which is our social emotional learning curriculum, to the high school. That's part of our ESSET plan. And while we actually don't have it yet, it is, I sent the PO, but so we should be getting it shortly. We had to wait on the grants. We're looking forward to that, and we want to implement that Second Step into our mentor and our monthly mentoring when students and teachers are getting together. And then finally, we have some new collaborations happening. We have paired up with the Capital Area School Development Association, otherwise known as CASDA, and we're getting some technical assistance from them. They're going to help us streamline our data meetings and kind of do an audit of our data meetings to make sure that we're doing it correctly. And in addition to that, as you know, I think from last year, we as an administrative unit have been going on walkthroughs of classrooms, and we do that twice a month. We'll visit about 6 classrooms at the junior, senior high school, 6 at the elementary school, and then we have a conversation as a unit about, noticing some happenings. But now we're also inviting CASDA in. 2 professionals are coming in, retired principals, and they're going to start doing walkthroughs as well, just to have a different lens on what's happening within our building, and then hopefully provide us with any feedback so that we can work on that. We have finished up a 3-part series from Attendance Works. As you know, one of our big plugs, or pushes rather, I should say, is attendance in both buildings. So there has been a group of us, an attendance team, if you will, who participated in a 3-part series. Actually, at the end of the day, we would all sit and talk to one another about the professional development and say, wow, we're doing a lot of this work already, which is great. But we have our hands on a few other resources that will help strengthen our toolbox. And we are revamping what professional development looks like. As you know, we have embedded professional development in both buildings once a week. And then we also have our superintendent conference days. We just happened last week. We have another one in March coming up. But when we were planning this one, we really said to ourselves, we need to model what our expectations are. So that's exactly what we did. Kirsten and I provided PD last week at the junior, senior high school, as well as for our TAs at the elementary school. We had a deep focus on trauma in the classroom and in student lives, and how we can create engaging lessons to support students that have experience with trauma, but also lessons that support our students that may not have trauma, but they need another lens or a way of learning and thinking. And from that, so we truly modeled what a lesson would look like, and then gave people time to create their own lessons. And next week in PD, when we all come together, the focus is going to be on, hey, did you try this out in your classroom? And then what is the feedback? And then we want to grow from there. But that is what's happening right now. Each one of these things that I spoke about today, very briefly, directly relates to our SF and our DSIP plan. So if you were to look back on those, which we provided for you during the summer, you would see a direct correlation with that. And both teams, SF and DSIP, have met already this year, and will continue to meet throughout the year, and we'll make sure that we're hitting our targeted goals. Questions? Okay. Sorry about the data. You'll see me again next month.
Okay, Dr. Stevens, would you like to give your superintendent report?
Sure. First off, thanks to Kelly. Sorry for the last minute glitch there without being able to share the data, but we'll circle back around. This just gave you a little bit of a glimpse of some of the stuff that is happening in our district and the work that we're doing already, because we've had some of that data and we're already letting into this to get a little deeper into what are some of the next steps. I hope everyone enjoyed their 3-day weekend, and a big thank you to all of our veterans. So please share that. Today was the start of our second marking period as students came to school today. So I can't believe we're already a quarter of the way through, but let's get started on marking period 2. Some big events coming up to mark your calendar for. This Thursday night, we have report card night at the junior senior high school at 6 o'clock. Lots of our teachers have been reaching out to families to schedule appointments and times for them to come in that evening and meet with them. I was looking at the spreadsheet earlier today, and it looks like lots and lots of appointments have been made. Books bingo for books is scheduled for Friday night. Sorry, there's been a mix up on which day. So it is Friday night at 6 o'clock. Sorry, it's Glow Bingo, I believe, if I'm not mistaken. So wear your neon colors, because they're going to show up. Next week, we have Meet the Winter Coaches Night on Thursday evening. So if you have any students, or you know of any students that are playing winter sports, there is an evening for them to come and meet some of the coaches. And then just a couple of things in front of you. First, a thank you to the audit committee who did review our audit that was completed. At this time, they're waiting for some information on a corrective action plan, but they have kind of given their blessing to the audit, and the audit is in a manila folder each year, place settings for you, a hard copy. You've also received it digitally, and we're going to be accepting it tonight. We're not approving anything. We're just accepting it. That's the first step. Mr. Hyde is working closely on what that corrective action plan will look like, and he'll bring that into probably next month's meeting, because it shouldn't take us too much to touch base on. The other item on your table, can borrow this for a second, is just BOCES annual report. This was shared with everyone so you can kind of get a glimpse of some of the happenings and what's going on at Cap Region BOCES. If you have any questions on any of that stuff, by all means, please let me know. And unless any of the other administrators have anything else to share, I think we're good.
Thank you. So the audit committee, as Dr. Stevens said, the audit committee received the audit, and we all did go over it, and we deemed at this time it was not necessary for us to have a meeting, as it was nothing, no real findings. And the one thing they did find, Mr. Hyde is working on the corrective action plan, and that will be presented to us soon. Policy committee, excuse me. We have the first reading of new policies, educational services for married and pregnant students, implementing Title IX, and the first reading of the revised policies, equal education opportunities. Unfortunately, Mrs. Soroka is not here, and I was unable to attend the meeting, so I'm not really sure if there's anything else happening there.
Those are the only two that we went over.
Okay, thank you. Thank you. Okay, board discussion. I do have a couple of things that I'd like to share. Just so the board knows, I received a letter in the mail from Tony Schilling, who is the secretary for the Hall of Fame, the Waterloo Junior Senior High School Hall of Fame, just thanking us, thanking those that attended, and thanking us for the donation in their pamphlet, which the donation goes towards the breakfast and the induction itself. And then the only other thing that I had was I'd like to thank Dr. Stevens for the invitation to the conference in New York City, the NISBA conference. It was very interesting, very busy. We had a lot of sessions. We learned a lot. My sessions were kind of focused on new board president, board members, board officers, but there were many different, there was everything from school safety to budget, and it was very interesting. And at one point it got very weird with the, what was she called? Sophie?
Sophie, the
Yeah.
robot?
Yes, she was an AI robot that walked out on the stage and talked to us, and
Human
Literally,
size, very human
yes,
size.
she literally interacted with the person. He was asking her questions, she was answering. I don't know if anybody's ever seen it. She's been on Jimmy Fallon.
It's on YouTube. Look her up.
Yeah, her name is Sophie. I do have videos of it. It was very strange, but
Borderline creepy, but.
yeah, it was very creepy. And she was standing on the stage for probably 15, 20 minutes, and I actually thought it was a person standing there. I did not realize that it was a robot until she rolled out to talk to the audience. But it was interesting. I'd like to thank you for the opportunity to go. I had a great time. It was very interesting. Does anybody else from the board have anything?
Yeah, real quick, our 5th and 6th graders partake in a cheerleading competition in October where they finished 3rd out of 14 teams. We have the trophy at the house. We're going to be deposited in the elementary school. The trophy's probably 2 feet tall. Just a congratulations on them. They worked really hard. And their disappointment last year turned into kind of a victory this year, and they worked really hard. And I just want to thank Dr. Stevens and everyone for their support. These girls really deserved it too. Like I said, they worked hard.
Thank you. Anyone else? No? Okay. At this time, I'd like to ask for a consent agenda on items 1 through 13 and 15 through 33. Could I have a motion?
I'll make a motion.
Could I have a second? Okay. Anything on the motion? All in favor? All opposed? Hearing none, the motion is passed. Item number 14, resolve that the board appoint the following coaches to the 24-25 school year pending fingerprint clearance and fulfillment of NICEAD coaching requirements at the rate per contract as recommended by the superintendent. The coaches are as listed in the agenda.
I'll recuse myself from this vote.
Thank you. Could I get a motion?
I'll make a motion.
And could I get a second?
I'll second.
Anything on the motion? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Hearing none, the motion has passed. I guess that is it. At this time, I can call for the,
Oh, yeah, exactly.
yeah, the executive session. Okay, at this time, I would like to call for an executive session. Could I get a motion?
I'll make a motion.
Could I get a second?
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Hearing none, the motion has passed. And I recommend we go into executive session at 6:18 PM.